This video is only for people who want to find a job which is pretty low stress, pretty well paid for the amount of effort that you put in. So it's no jobs where you have to do like 6 years of school or like a bachelor's degree to get this job, but it's pretty good pay considering what you put in. Low barrier to entry or like a lower barrier entry, in demand, and most importantly, if you don't really mind what the job is. So if you're the type of person that's kind of like, I just kind of want a chill job, I don't really give a shit if I'm following my passion or like if the job is prestigious or like I feel fulfilled or whatever. If you're of the mindset of like the job is very minimal work for the amount of effort that I put in and I get paid like a pretty good amount, I'm going to use the time I save to do whatever in my free time, then sit tight. I'm going to tell you about some lesser known jobs which are generally pretty chill, pretty low effort, and they pay you pretty well considering what you do. So the first underrated job that's pretty good is being a union elevator mechanic. So this is basically someone that installs and maintains elevators and escalators, often in like commercial or residential buildings. So this, again, it's union elevator mechanic. So it's unionized work. You typically work like 40 hours a week, and it's mostly solo or like small crew-based work with like physical tasks. So the reason that I think this job is underrated is basically it pays 80 to 120K in the US, and it's underrated because you don't need a degree for this job. You basically just need to apply for a union apprenticeship. So through the US, you need to do it through the IUEC, and you can make like 6 figures with no student debt and like full benefits. So you didn't have to go to like school for this. You didn't have to do a lot of training. Very underrated job. The second underrated job is being a radiation therapist. So this is basically someone that operates the machines that delivers radiation to cancer patients. So this job is pretty chill, pretty low stress. It's mostly like scheduled outpatient work. You work like 9 to 5 hours, very low crisis situation, focused, repetitive, precision work with like a small team or like very like minimal interaction. So the reason that this job is underrated is because it pays 70 to 100K in the US, and it's basically a chill hospital job without any of the blood or like the urgency of working in a hospital. You basically do like regular hours in low crisis work, minimal interaction, not too much external pressure. You don't have to do any diagnostics. You basically like clock in, you calibrate the machine, you calibrate the beams, you clock out. So for this job, you do need a 2 years associate degree and like certification. So like in the US, that's through the ARRT. But after you get that, you're basically chilling. Really good job, really good salary, good pay. Hell yeah, underrated. By the way, if you've been watching this video so far and you realize, actually, Crystal, I do want a job that's more aligned with my values, then you should check out this video I made, which gives you a formula of how to pick your job based on your actual values. But also, if you don't have 20 minutes to watch that video, or if you want like a hard copy, more comprehensive version of that video and that guide, then you should check out the hard copy ebook, which is 36 pages long and gives you a comprehensive list of all of the jobs that you would enjoy based on your values, which you can get at my coffee shop up there or down there. Link is in the description. Another job is being a technical writer. So this is basically someone that writes the manuals or like the guides or like technical documentation for products or software. So the reason this job is underrated is because it's like a writing job, it's like often a remote and it's self-paced work. Also, I know a lot of you want to be writers. I see this in my comments a lot. In this job, it's like really solo work. You might collaborate with engineers, but there's very little public facing pressure. And especially what's important about this is that this is a writing job which pays 70 to 110K in the US. Its hours are flexible, especially if you're freelance. It's remote friendly. There's basically 0 meetings. You need like an English or a STEM degree, and you also just need to be willing to learn or like already be familiar with like some type of niche, right? So like software or like biotech or like engineering. So like basically whatever niche that you're going to be writing these guides and like manuals. Other than that, there's very little pressure. It's like a writing job. It's chill. It's remote. No one's going to yell at you. Yeah, pretty good. Underrated. Another underrated job is being a dental hygienist. So this is basically the person that like cleans people's teeth, right? You assist dentists, you clean people's teeth, you take like the mouth x-rays. Job is underrated because this job is usually like 3 to 4 days of work a week. So it's often like part-time. And even though it's part-time work, you still make like 75K a year. And the work itself is pretty chill, right? Because the patients are like booked in advance and it's repetitive, but like you still get to like socialize with like the other people in the dentist office or like the patients. But also the patients are pretty chill because it's just dentist work. It's pretty low chaos overall. You don't do any of the hard shit. The dentist does all the hard shit. Basically, you do the easy shit and you still get paid like 75K a year. So for this job, you do need a 2 years associate's degree and to do a licensure exam for this. But like after that, part-time work, pretty chill, stable hours, in demand, underrated. Another pretty good job is being an occupational therapy assistant. So this is basically someone that helps patients regain daily life skills after an injury or an illness. So basically if someone had like a stroke, you'd be like the person teaching them to like relearn how to use a spoon and like stuff like that, right? So for this job, you'd either work in like a clinic, a school, or assisted living center. This job can either be 9 to 5, but you can also do part-time shifts. And the reason that this job is underrated is because it's really low pressure. And if you like something hands-on, or like if you want like a job which is more fulfilling or like purposeful and like working in an empathetic environment, then this is great for you. The job pays like 55 to 75k a year for some really meaningful, calm work where people actually appreciate you. The job is like fulfilling. The patients are also like generally pretty chill. Like it's not chaotic. It's not like a chaotic job. The hours are stable. It's way less work and it's like way lower barrier to entry than doing like a full, I don't know, like a social work degree or like a medical degree. And like the pay is pretty good for what you do and you're like at way less risk of burning out. The barrier to entry here is basically you have to do an accredited OTA associate program, which takes about 2 years, and also get like a state license. But after that, pretty chill, pretty stable, underrated. Another job is you can be a local government analyst. So this is basically an underrated office job. So what you do is you write reports and you like make recommendations for public policy. So specifically public policy for like infrastructure projects in city government. So like roads, housing, parks, etc., etc. You like analyze policies and like budgets. This is an underrated office job. It's like a 9 to 5 office job, but it's underrated because you only need like a generalist degree and also like the ability to learn Excel. That's it. And you get paid like 60 to 90k with like full benefits, really good pension, very stable. The job and like the work itself is also really chill because again, if you're watching this video, you don't really mind what you're doing. If you have a generalist degree, your responsibilities are basically you write reports and present findings and like that's it. There's basically like zero micromanagement because it's not too high pressure. Very underrated office job. Another underrated office job is being a regulatory affairs associate. So this is basically someone that makes sure that like products, so products means like food, cosmetic, drugs follow government regulations. So like the FDA, the EMA, global regulations. So basically you make sure that like products don't get banned. This job is pretty dry. It's like a lot of form filing and like tracking deadlines and like doing audit reports. But the job is underrated because if you don't mind what you're doing, it pays 65 to 95k a year and like 90% of the job is like pretty easy because it's like emailing PDFs and like formatting documents. That's it. It's like an office-based job, but it can also be remote and it's like 9 to 5 stable hours. Very little urgency, just kind of boring. But again, if you don't mind that, it's fine. You can probably just put on some music. You just do like steady paperwork as your job. There's no huge deadline urgency. And speaking as someone who's done a paperwork job with deadline urgency, having no time crunch makes a huge difference. To get into this job, you basically need a STEM degree or like a healthcare adjacent degree. You also need to do some on-job training and some certifications. Another underrated job is being a field service technician, specifically a field service technician for medical devices. So what this means is you're the person that like goes to like hospitals and like you install and like fix the medical machines, right? So like imaging equipment, diagnostics, surgical robots. So the way to get into this job is you either need an associate or like a bachelor's degree in electronics or like biomedical engineering or like training from a company. And the reason that this job is underrated and it slaps is because it pays upwards of 70k and the job has like no office, right? It's a solo travel job. There's like no coworkers. You work completely alone. And because you're traveling to like all the hospitals, you basically get to like travel and you get like free hotel, like free room and board, like free hotel breakfast. I personally love staying in hotels. Okay, great job for me if like this fucking YouTube thing really up because no one loves a fucking hotel like I do. Okay, this is like my special interest. You know how like guys really like trains, like some people really like trains. This is like the girl version of dude that really loves trains. Okay, girl that really loves fucking hotel rooms. I love looking at all the cabinets and shit. I love turning on the cable TV in a hotel room and like watching it, even though I never watch cable TV in my day-to-day life. It's amazing. I love hotels. I go on vacation just for a hotel. I veered wildly off topic. I got too excited. Anyway, the point is field technician for medical devices. Really good job if you're qualified. You basically play with like expensive gadgets on your own. You travel, you fix them, good pay. Hotels. Another underrated job is being a transportation planner. So this is another one of those like underrated office jobs. This is someone that like designs traffic systems and you analyze like traffic flow and then you make like recommendations to like transit or like changes to like the infrastructure. So basically you write reports. It's an office-based job, which is either hybrid or government work. And it's like a regular 9 to 5 with occasional public meetings or reviews. But other than that, it's like chill. It's like no drama, not really emotionally tense. It's just a lot of data work. But if you don't mind that, it's like really no stress. There's like zero public attention to it, but you still have like mid-level civic power because you're still making like important decisions, right? So like if you like the idea of having power but like no public attention because like no one is really like there's no public scrutiny to this is a good job for you. For this job, you do need some training. So you need some training in like urban planning or civil engineering or like GIS training. But after that, the job pays 60 to 90k. Good job if you're one of those people that like plays a lot of like Sim City in your free time. This is basically like the same Another pretty good job is being a wind turbine technician. So this job is good for if you're a person that wants to like be on your feet or you're practical or if you like want to work in nature, this is a really good job. This is basically someone that like climbs and like maintains wind turbines. So you inspect wind turbines and you fix them and It's a pretty physically demanding job, but it's like very routine. If you like being outdoors, this is pretty good. The hours can kind of vary depending on like the location and like the wind conditions. It's a good job. You get paid 60 to 80K. It's pretty chill, and especially it's good because there's tons of demand, especially in like rural or remote areas. So you're not gonna be like fighting a bunch of applicants for like a wind turbine technician job. And to get this job, you need like a 2-year tech program, which would be either in wind energy or electrical tech, but still pretty low barrier to entry, pretty high in demand, underrated job. Another job is being a diesel mechanic, specifically a diesel mechanic for large fleets. So what this is basically you maintain and like repair diesel engines in like trucks, buses, heavy machinery for companies. So here you'd either work in like a garage or a shop, and the hours are like 9 to 5 hours or like early shifts. So for this job, you basically have to go to like trade school and like do training on the job. But the job is underrated because it's really steady work, and like you get paid 55 to 75K a year, especially if you unionize, and there's pretty good union options. There's minimal interaction with other people, or like minimal talking to other people if you don't like that. People basically leave you alone to tinker and like your own shit. If you like really manual, like practical solitary work, this is good. Pay is stable, in demand, underrated job. Another underrated job is being a fire protection systems technician. So this is basically the person that like installs and maintains sprinkler systems and like fire alarms in buildings, okay? So again, this is more of a physically demanding job, but it's like pretty routine, pretty methodical, and you work like a pretty regular schedule of maybe like 40 hours a week. This is underrated because it pays 60 to 90K a year, and there's pretty good union options. And to get there, you basically need to do a trade program or like an apprenticeship. Some states do require licensing, but after that, the work is like really consistent, really steady, really chill, underrated. Another underrated job is being a low voltage electrician, specifically for security or AV systems. So basically, this is the person that installs the low voltage systems in security alarms, cable, home AV, home theater systems, all of the like non-lethal electrical wiring is basically your job. So this job is like an indoor job, and often you work as part of a small crew, or you can work as like a contractor. So here you need to do an apprenticeship or you go to trade school, but it's underrated because it pays like 60 to 80K a year. You work like pretty consistent hours, and there's like very minimal emergencies, and the work is like steady and chill. Really good routine if you're into that. Way less stressful than being a full electrician, but the pay is still really solid for what you do. Underrated. Another pretty good job, pretty cool job, this one actually, is being an avionics technician. So what the is that, Crystal? Basically, you're the guy that fixes airplane control systems. So avionics system is basically like sensors, radars, navigation on aircrafts. It's basically, you're the IT guy for planes, okay? So like you work at airports or hangars. Great job for you if you're one of those people that really likes airplanes. I know some people really like planes. It's like one of those topics that people are like really into, like people that really like trains, or like me in hotel rooms, right? People really like airplanes. So this is underrated because you basically only need FAA certified training or an associate's degree, and you get paid like 70 to 100K a year. And if you really like airplanes, it's like a special bonus. You get to be on a plane all the time. Also, if you don't mind, or even if you prefer doing weird hours, this job is often like shift based. So you either do like really early or later hours, but it's very, very routine and procedural, and you get paid like, again, 70 to 100K a year. It's chill, it's quiet, it's like very technical and a very respectable job, and like people trust you without micromanaging or like asking too many questions. So very underrated job.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. But if you realize after watching this video that you actually want a career that's more aligned with your values, then you should check out this video I made, which goes through a scientific formula of how to pick your career based on your values. Or you can check out this playlist of all of my career videos. It goes through like how to pick your career based on your hobbies, your values, or like it just generally fucking, I don't know, click something, please.